Welcome to our live training session here with our 2018 Yukon Denali. We're going to learn how to calibrate and tune this vehicle using an MPVI2 cable from HP Tuners and their VCM software suite. So we're going to learn how to flash, data log, and go through all of the calibration process from start to finish here. Now let's jump in and take a look at the modifications that have been done to our vehicle. We're going to find that this particular 2018 Yukon Denali has a bone stock engine. Now we have fitted it with a Magnuson supercharger kit. It's pulley for about 6 to 7 psi worth of boost pressure. Now on top of the Magnuson kit, we also have Cook's long tube headers and high flow cats with a stock catback exhaust. Now on our fuel system side of things, we have Z06 fuel injectors and a Z06 high pressure pump. We are using the stock in-tank lifter pump to feed our high pressure pump. We're gonna have to see how far we can go with that. We've also fitted our fuel system with a flex fuel sensor. So we're gonna be doing both 93 octane and ethanol based tune on this to see what kind of power we can gain when we run ethanol. We have a lot to cover here, so let's jump into our live training session so we can learn how to create our base calibration file and get our process started. Welcome to our live training session here with our 2018 Yukon Denali. Now we just went over all the details for the modifications that have been done to our vehicle. Let's jump into our VCM editor software so we can begin doing the read process, so we can read the files out, and then we can save the file and start to modify this file so that when we fire up the engine, we'll be able to account for all the modifications we've done and have a successful start of our calibration process. We need to account for all of the details such as the fuel system or the sensors that have been changed or things like our high flow cats that are being installed. So a lot of little details that we need to account for in order for the engine to run in a reasonable manner once we fire it off. Let's take a look at doing our read process. So jumping in here, I have the VCM editor open on my screen right now. I am connected to the vehicle through the OBD2 port through the MPVI2 cable. So I have my laptop plugged into the MPVI2 cable, which is plugged into the OBD2 port. I have my vehicle powered on in terms of the key position here. So key on, engine off. Engine's not running. We don't want the engine running when we're doing a read or a write. So right now we are in the key on engine off status, and we're able to just simply go in here and click on our read button here at the top. We can see a little icon here. It's going to show us a read vehicle. So let's go ahead and click that. Now our screen pops up here. It's going to prompt us to do a read on the engine control module. We're also going to be reading the transmission control module. We may or may not be modifying that here in this live training tutorials, but we're going to read it just so we have that available to us. Let's go here and click read. And it's going to prompt me up to the next screen to do the reading process. Now this could take a few minutes to do the read. We do see here our E92A engine control module here is starting the read. Our transmission control module here at T87A for our 10-speed transmission will be next up to do the read. So we can see here it's going to take a few minutes to do the transmission control module read. Now in this car with the 10-speed, it is going to be giving me a equivalent file, a stock equivalent file, but it's likely not to read it from the transmission control module. It is likely to be coming from the HP Tuners server. So it's going to ping that and send that file to us, which is going to be a stock equivalent file, which then we can save and modify and upload if we choose to do so. So I'm going to allow this to do the read process here, and then we'll continue on. As soon as it's completed, it's going to take a few minutes, and then we'll start to modify our file and go through that calibration process. Okay, so that's completed the read process for at least the engine control module, and now we're finding here coming up on my screen, it's giving me a notice here. The tune file you've just been supplied as a stock file because the control module is not able to be read. It's perfectly safe to use. This module has been previously tuned. You may lose any existing changes. So they're giving me a stock equivalent file from the HP Tuner server, which is what I thought would happen here with this particular transmission control module. That may not be the case. You have an 8-speed, but all the 10 speeds in the transmission control module reads, this is the message that I see here. So I'm going to click OK, and now we're going to find that we can save our file with this engine control module, transmission control module in one. We can save this file here as a custom name. So let's go in here and save this first. Let's create a project folder. I'm going to call this EPA, and we'll say 2018 Yukon Supercharged, so I know what this project I'm working on with is going to be. And this is saving into my documents folder under HP Tuners, logs and tunes. So that's where I'm saving this in terms of being able to find what I'm working with here. So I'm going to go ahead and save this just literally as original. So this is the original equivalent file. If you're used to working with a programmer such as a Diablo Sport or an SCT, they usually save the original file off of the engine control module and then that allows you to restore it back to stock if you ever want to unmarry that controller from the car. Same kind of idea here with HP tuners, but it's our responsibility to save the original file. So it's always good practice to save the file as original. Now what I'm going to do is save this as a new name. It's the same file, just different name. So that way any changes we make in this tutorial here, going through creating the base map, it'll be able to save it to a different file name, and we're not overwriting this original file. Very basic detail, but very, very important. A lot of people essentially paint themselves into a corner because they never save the original file out. They have no way to go backwards in the calibration process and start over again, and they have no way to put the vehicle back to stock. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to go File, and we're going to use the Save As option, and then in here, I'm going to just call this base cal, give it some kind of name. Doesn't matter, just name it something else. That way you can now start to modify this separated file and not overwrite the original. Okay, so let's go through here. What we're going to do is move in, and we're going to go from all the way on the left here, all the way to the right. We're going to go through each of our tabs here up at the top and try to change things that we need to in order to account for the modifications that have been done to the vehicle. We don't want to just go in and arbitrarily change tables or values unless we absolutely need to. What I like to do on these Gen 5 engine control module programming, even the transmission control module, change the least amount as possible, and then fire it up and see how it runs. And then if I'm getting a problem like throttle closure or maybe a shifting problem, then I'll deal with it at that point in time. There are so many things that you can change in these engine control modules that may or may not actually have to be updated and changed. If you can leave more data stock, the better off you'll be. That's always my approach to tuning any of the newer generation vehicles. Let's go in here and let's take a look. First thing we're going to do is jump into our operating strategy or operating system tab here. And it's going to show here, there's a VATS patch. We can see it's been enabled. There is no additional patches. We're not going to go ahead and enable anything else in here. So let's just close this real quick. Let's go into engine and let's take a look. Now under engine, we have a lot of different tabs and things to account for. If we jump in here to general, we'll start over. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.